Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my 31 days of vlogging for the month of January. Previously I talked about an experience I had with a flaky person, and as I mentioned I had a lot of these stories. I have one in particular which is interesting because apparently the guy actually had a crush on me, and he was still flaky. So I'm going to talk about that because I realized that it's fun for me to get these things off my chest, so if nobody else likes it, at least it's good for my mental health. I don't know. This was a while ago. This was before I was seeing Taryn. I met this guy. He was really cute, and we hung out a couple times. I didn't know if we had a lot in common, but like the potential was there, and I saw him out all the time, and he would always say that he wanted to like hang out and do stuff, but he would never actually like follow through with it. And he ended up being a little bit flaky or like whatever, so I was just like, okay, like this isn't going anywhere, whatever. But we remained friends, I guess. I didn't actually know that he liked me, because he never told me he liked me. He never asked me on a date. I never did anything, just like once in a while would say that we should hang out, and that was about the end of it. And fast forward a while, I had gone out one night, and this is sort of before I had people that I regularly went out with. I mean, I knew lots of people like in the club, so I didn't mind going by myself because I had people to talk to once I was there. But I didn't have anyone to go with, so I was basically waiting in line by myself. And it's always kind of hit or miss when you do that because you don't know if you're going to meet people in the club that you know, but I knew I probably was, so. Anyways, I was out there by myself waiting in line, and it was a really long lineup this night, and I was just like the line was wrapped around the corner of the block, so it basically was going to take like an hour or more to get in. Maybe 2 hours, I don't know. It was insane, but I was already all the way downtown. I didn't want to go home, so I was waiting in line. I think I made it like halfway through, and I was like at the corner where the line splits and goes the other way, and I see this guy walking by with a bunch of his friends who I kind of know but I'm not really friends with. And he sees me and he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Come with us to this other club." And I'm just like, "Well, I don't want to lose my place in line." He's like, "Oh no, we're coming back here afterwards to the club that I was at, and we're gonna like go through the shorter line." And I was like, "Are you sure? Because I waited a long time in this line." So we go to this other club, which isn't really my thing. It's more of a, how do I say, leather daddy bar? Not completely, like it's a mixed crowd, but it's not really my scene. Like the music is sort of like there's no words, I can't really dance to it. It's just sort of that like, whoa, 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 like it's that kind of music. And so I was kind of there relying on him to sort of be entertaining, not entertaining, but like he basically like left me the whole time, like to go off to the bathroom or with someone else and like just do stuff. So I was left there with his friends who sort of awkwardly were like not really talking to me and didn't really care that I was there, and like the whole thing was just really awkward. So I was just basically biding my time until we could go back to the club that I had been at originally, because I knew I would know people there and it was more my scene. So finally we leave and we start heading back that way, and we go in the VIP line, which is the shorter line, which you either have to know someone who works at the club to get in, or you have to pay money, basically extra money on top of the cover of the club, and it's usually like $20 to $40, and I'm obviously not going to pay that. And at the time I was like super broke, so I definitely wasn't going to pay that. But they were convinced. They were like, we will get you in, we have guest list. And so I was like, "Are you sure?" Because I've been stranded in this goddamn VIP line before where people tell me they can get me in and then it doesn't work. It's just happened so many times that I hate going in that line. And I was like, "Are you sure?" And they were like, yeah, we're totally sure." And I'm like, because otherwise I should get back in the other line and just wait and get in. And they were like, no, this line. So we wait in that line, and even in that line there was a bit of a wait too, because the club was just full. They were at capacity. There's only so many people they can let in. And we get to the front of the line, finally. The bouncer lets all of them in except me, because he can only let in a certain amount at a time. And I'm like, okay, like he doesn't say anything to me. He just like puts the rope back. And they go in and I'm like waiting. And so finally the bouncer walks over to me and he's like, it's $20. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, it's $20 to go in this line. And I was just like, oh, I was supposed to be with them. And he's like, well, they didn't cover you, like they didn't get you in. And I was just like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, so what can I do? Like, I can't, I don't have $20 on me, I don't want to pay it. And he's just like, well, you just gotta go to the back of the other line. The back of the other line, which I was already halfway through before they took me out of it. But this isn't the worst part. I was like, okay, so there's been a misunderstanding. That's life. So I go to the back of the line, and I'm like, they'll realize that I haven't come in, and maybe they'll come out and get me, or they'll talk to the bouncer, or something. So I'm waiting at the back of this other line, and no one's coming out for me. The guy's not messaging me or anything. Like, he has my number. And so eventually I'm like, okay, this is stupid. So I message him. I'm like, hey, I got stuck outside. I had to go to the back of the other line. No response. Nothing. So I wait in this line for about another hour on top of what I already waited in the VIP line. And I finally get into the club after like messaging and trying to call this guy and be like, hello. And I get in and I was just like, why didn't you answer your phone? Why didn't you check that I was not following you in? And he's just like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize. And I was like, what do you mean you didn't realize? You didn't realize that I didn't follow you inside and I haven't been here for the past hour? Like, what are you... Just like... I find it really difficult to believe that you didn't check your phone for an hour, and even if you didn't check your phone, the fact that it didn't occur to you to be like, oh, hey, the guy that was supposed to come in with me isn't in. Like, maybe I should check on him. And, like, just apparently none of that occurred to him throughout the entire time this was all going on. So I was so peeved that I didn't, like, dance with them or anything. I just went off and did my own thing, because I was so mad at that point. And the real kicker of the story is that from what I've gathered from talking to mutual acquaintances with this guy, I mean, that was basically the last time we really spoke or hung out at all, but people have told me that, like, he talked about me all the time, he liked me, and, like, I got the impression that he felt like I led him on, even though I felt like he was the one that was being flaky. And that incident in the line, I was like, for real? Like, this is the narrative that's going around, is that I'm the player that led him on? And, like, that was really frustrating for me, because back then I had a lot of rumors going around like that sort of followed me about, like, being a player or whatever. Whereas here I am being like, people are super flaky and stupid and, like, not, you know, showing interest or following through. And everyone's like, oh, watch out for him, he's a player. I'm like, I'm not a player, you fucking just guys don't know how to, like, pick up a phone and text here. Like, and then you leave me in line! Ugh, I was so frustrated by that. And the thing was, he didn't even apologize. He wasn't even like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I can't believe that happened to you. He just straight up was like, oh, I just didn't realize. And, like, that was it. Like, no apology, no explanation, no nothing. And that was the part that really got to me, because it was like, yeah, shit happens, people are drunk, it's a nightclub, but, like, at least apologize after you realize that you pulled me out of a line that I'd already been waiting in, promised to get me back in, and then left me outside for another hour without checking on me. And then made your friends think that I led you on. Ugh, it was so stupid. And I know it probably sounds like he was, like, punishing me for, like, or allegedly leading him on or whatever, but that totally wasn't what happened. Like, at that point, we were still, like, on good terms and stuff, and, God, the behavior of some people is the moral of the story. Anyways, thank you guys for letting me get that off my chest. I know some of you are probably gonna be like, let it go, you have a good life now. And, like, I honestly, like, I'm fine. Like, this isn't me, like, being like, it's just, I find it helpful and cathartic to vent about stuff, for some reason, and, like, put it onto the internet. It's just, I don't know. It's just a weird thing. You guys should try it. But anyways, thank you for listening, and if you guys have any other things that you want me to talk about for the rest of the month, I appreciate that. If you let me know in the comments, because 31 days is a lot of videos to come up with. So thank you for watching, and let me know. See you later. Bye.